Today, we're going to talk about something that's tough, but necessary: the harsh reality of being in a relationship with a narcissist. A narcissist husband can make you feel unseen. They diminish your worth. They twist the narrative to make everything about them. But here's what I want you to remember: your worth does not come from their approval. You are worthy, you are valuable, and you have the power to reclaim your story. Being with a narcissist often means constant manipulation. It means walking on eggshells, second-guessing yourself, and questioning whether you're good enough. But what if, just for a moment, you started to realize that the problem isn't you? The problem is the constant emotional abuse that leaves you gasping for validation. The problem is the deep sense of loneliness, even when you're surrounded by people. The harsh reality is that the more you seek validation from someone who can't give it, the more you lose yourself. But here's the good news: you don't have to stay there. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to apologize for your feelings, your needs, or your dreams. And you certainly don't have to accept less than what you deserve. Today, I'm not here to tell you what to do, only you can decide your path. But I want to offer a few key points to help guide you as you navigate this journey, because there is hope, there is healing, and there is freedom. Acknowledge the pain, but don't let it define you. Ladies, there is something incredibly powerful about acknowledging pain. It's hard, I know. For so many of us, we've been conditioned to suppress our emotions, to hide the hurt behind a smile, to pretend like everything is okay when it's not. We're taught that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness, that letting others see our pain makes us less worthy. But I want you to hear this loud and clear: acknowledging pain is not a weakness. It's an act of courage. Let's start with the basics. When we experience pain, whether emotional, physical, or spiritual, it's our body and mind's way of saying something's wrong. I need healing. We've all been there: the emotional exhaustion from trying to please someone who can never be pleased, the constant self-doubt that creeps in when you're gasping for approval that's never fully granted, the fear of being unseen in a relationship that feels more like a battle than a partnership. We try to brush it off, to carry it without letting it show. But the truth is, pain is meant to be felt. It's a signal, a message that needs to be heard. And the first step in your healing journey is acknowledging that pain for what it is. So why is it so hard to acknowledge it? It's because we've been taught to run from it, to pretend it doesn't exist. For many of us, that's a survival mechanism. We think that if we push the pain down, if we ignore it, maybe it will go away. But it doesn't. It festers. It shows up in our relationships, in our health, in our minds. It lingers in the background, subtly but powerfully shaping our thoughts and actions. Pain that's ignored doesn't disappear. It grows stronger, more insistent, until it forces us to confront it. But here's the thing: acknowledging pain doesn't mean letting it define you. In fact, it's the opposite. When we deny our pain, we allow it to control us. When we avoid it, we make it the center of our story. But when we face it, when we allow ourselves to feel it, that's when we start to regain control. That's when we begin to reclaim our power. So I want you to think about something. What is the pain that you've been running from? What is the thing that keeps you awake at night, the thing that you try to silence but can't quite escape? Maybe it's the feeling of never being good enough, or the overwhelming burden of trying to please someone who can't be pleased. Maybe it's the loneliness of being emotionally neglected, or the heartbreak of giving so much and receiving so little in return. Acknowledge it, name it, because only when we give our pain a name can we begin to understand its origin and its hold on us. When I say acknowledge the pain, I'm not asking you to dwell in it or to let it consume you. Acknowledgement is not the same as surrender. It's the first step toward transformation. It's the beginning of the process where you say, I'm not going to hide from this anymore. I'm going to face it. I'm going to let myself feel it. And then I'm going to let it go. And yes, that's hard. It's uncomfortable. It's messy. But it is also incredibly freeing. It's important to understand that acknowledging the pain does not mean you're giving it power over you. Far from it. Acknowledgement is about reclaiming your agency. It's about taking the first step toward healing. By naming the pain, you're recognizing that it's not the totality of who you are. It's just something you've been through. It's something you're going through. But it doesn't define you. Think about a time in your life when you were in pain. Maybe you've gone through a heartbreak, a loss, or a situation where you felt completely powerless. Now think about where you are today. You're still here. You survived that pain, and you're stronger for it, even if you don't always feel that way. Your ability to withstand the pain is a testament to your strength. It may not always feel like it, but you have grown. And in that growth, you've learned how to acknowledge your hurt without letting it consume you. You've learned how to show up for yourself, even when it feels like the world isn't showing up for you. When we acknowledge pain, we make room for healing. Healing doesn't happen in the absence of pain. It happens when we give ourselves permission to feel it, to express it, and to process it. That's how we start the journey of reclaiming ourselves, of taking back our power. When we stop pretending that everything is fine, when we stop minimizing our feelings, we open the door to healing. And that healing comes from a place of radical self-compassion, acknowledging that it's okay to not be okay, and that we are worthy of kindness, care, and understanding, especially from ourselves. I also want to challenge you to think about something else. Pain often shapes the way we see the world and ourselves. It can distort our reality, making us believe that we are not worthy, that we are flawed, or that we will never escape the cycle. But pain is not the truth of who you are. It's an experience, but it does not have to become your identity. You are not your pain. Your worth is not determined by what you've gone through, by the hurts you've endured, or by the battles you've fought. So, yes, acknowledge the pain, but don't let it define you. Acknowledge it, feel it, honor it for what it is, but then start to separate yourself from it. It's a part of your story, but it's not the whole story. The more you let it define you, the more you give up your power. The more you let it dictate your worth, the more you lose sight of who you truly are. You are a survivor, a warrior, a force of strength. You are not defined by the wounds of your past. You are defined by your ability to rise, to heal, to move forward, and to create a new story for yourself. Every time you acknowledge the pain without letting it consume you, you are taking back your power. And that's the kind of transformation that leads to a life of courage, strength, and true self-love. Stop seeking approval from the narcissist. Ladies, if there's one thing that I've learned, it's this: when we seek approval from a narcissist, we're giving them the power to define our worth. It's a difficult and painful cycle to break, but I want you to know something incredibly important today. You are not meant to live your life constantly trying to prove your value to someone who cannot see it. You don't need to earn their approval, their praise, or their validation, because you are already enough as you are. The truth is, you are worthy of love, respect, and belonging, just as you are, no strings attached. And I'm here to tell you that it's time to stop seeking that approval from someone who cannot give it to you in the way that you deserve. Let's take a moment and pause. Reflect on this. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you begin to notice something unsettling. No matter how much you give, no matter how much you do, you'll never feel truly seen. You'll never feel like you measure up. Narcissists thrive on control and attention, and they have a way of twisting the narrative to make everything about them. So what does that leave for you? It leaves you in a constant state of emotional hunger, desperately seeking validation and approval from someone who has no intention of ever truly meeting those needs. The unfortunate truth is that over time, you begin to lose yourself in this quest for approval. You start questioning your worth, doubting your choices, and wondering whether you're enough. You shape your actions, thoughts, and emotions around the hope that one day you'll get that elusive affirmation. But here's the reality: you'll never get it from them. The more you seek approval, the more they'll pull away, the more they'll devalue you, and the more you'll lose yourself. But what if you stopped? What if you stopped seeking validation from a person who cannot recognize your worth? What would that look like? Imagine for a moment that you stopped adjusting your actions, your thoughts, your emotions to fit into someone else's narrative. Imagine how freeing it would be to no longer rely on their approval for your sense of self. The first step in this process is understanding that approval-seeking behavior is not a reflection of your worth. It's a sign that you're not fully embracing your own value. When we are caught up in seeking approval from others, we essentially hand over the keys to our own identity. We are telling ourselves that our value depends on whether or not someone else acknowledges us. But this is a trap. Your worth is intrinsic. It comes from within, not from external validation. When we constantly seek validation from someone who has shown us time and time again that they are incapable of giving it, we're allowing them to define us in ways that they should never have the power to do. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever found yourself making excuses for their behavior? Have you ever found yourself apologizing, shrinking, or doubting your actions because you're afraid of how they might react? That's the approval-seeking cycle. It's a continuous loop of self-doubt and compromise. And when you're constantly trying to win the approval of someone who thrives on control, who feeds off of your insecurity and self-doubt, you're not nurturing your true self. You're silencing your voice. You're shutting down your inner wisdom. And you're losing connection with the beautiful, strong, confident woman that you are. It's time to stop. It's time to start defining your worth for yourself. No one else has the power to tell you who you are. Not your partner, not your family, not your friends, not society. You are the expert on your own life. You are the one who knows the depth of your strength, your beauty, your compassion, your wisdom. And when you stop seeking approval from someone who will never see you for all that you are, you start to reconnect with that inner truth. You begin to reclaim your power. I know it's hard. I know it feels like there's an emotional void when you stop seeking approval. But what if I told you that the void is actually the space where you get to reclaim your true self? What if instead of feeling empty without their validation, you filled that space with your own self-love and self-respect? What if you poured your energy into nurturing your own sense of worth instead of waiting for someone else to do it for you? Here's the truth. No one else can validate you like you can validate yourself. You hold the key to your own sense of value. You are the one who gets to decide how you show up in the world, how you set boundaries, and how you express your needs. When you stop seeking approval from someone who cannot give it to you, you start to take back your power. You become your own source of validation. And that's where true freedom lies. When you stop seeking approval from a narcissist, you stop measuring your worth against their impossible standards. You stop internalizing their criticism, their gaslighting, and their emotional manipulation. Instead, you start living for you unapologetically, boldly, and authentically. You begin to trust yourself more deeply because you no longer rely on someone else to affirm your value. It's important to realize that you are enough just as you are, and you deserve to be loved for who you are, not for who you are in relation to someone else's needs. You deserve to be seen, respected, and cared for in a way that honors your soul. And when you stop seeking approval from someone who cannot give you that, you make space for the kind of love and respect that you truly deserve. As you embark on this journey of breaking free from the need for approval, I want you to remember something vital. You are worthy of a love that nourishes you, not a love that diminishes you. You are worthy of a relationship where your voice matters, where your feelings are valid, and where your needs are heard. Don't waste another moment trying to earn the approval of someone who will never truly see you. Instead, start seeing yourself, start validating yourself, start loving yourself in the way that you deserve. And remember, you are enough just as you are. Every step you take toward stopping the cycle of approval seeking is a step toward reclaiming your truth, a step toward standing in your power, and a step toward the life that you deserve. Find your voice, reclaim your strength. Ladies, there is something so powerful about owning your voice. I'm not just talking about the words you speak, but about the deeper truth of who you are. Your voice is the expression of your soul, your desires, your boundaries, and your wisdom. When you reclaim your voice, you reclaim your power. And when you reclaim your power, you step into your full strength exactly as you are. But here's the thing, finding your voice isn't always easy. It's not just about speaking up in a meeting or standing up for yourself in a conversation. It's about unearthing the truth that's buried beneath layers of fear, shame, and self-doubt. It's about reconnecting with that part of you that has been silenced for too long, whether by your own inner critic or by external voices telling you that you're too much, too loud, too emotional, or too anything. But I want you to hear me clearly. You are not too much. You are not too loud. You are not too anything. You are exactly enough. And your voice is needed in this world. Many of us, especially as women, are taught to be small. We're taught to fit into boxes, to shrink ourselves to make others more comfortable. We're taught to be kind, agreeable, and quiet. And in doing so, we silence ourselves step by step, piece by piece. We start to question our own worth. We begin to doubt our instincts and to shrink our dreams. But I'm here to tell you today, your voice matters. Your story matters. You matter. Finding your voice starts with recognizing that you are worthy of being heard. So often, we hold back because we fear rejection, judgment, or criticism. We worry that if we speak up, we'll upset someone or we'll be labeled as difficult or ungrateful. But what if I told you that silencing yourself to protect others is the very thing that keeps you small? It's the very thing that robs the world of your unique light. When you hold your truth inside, you do more than protect others. You protect your own fear. You protect your insecurity. You protect the belief that you aren't worthy of taking up space. But my friends, you are so worthy. The journey to reclaiming your voice isn't about becoming someone else. It's not about emulating someone you admire. It's about peeling back the layers of self-doubt and fear and finding the woman you've always been deep inside. She's in there waiting for you to give her permission to rise. She is strong, she is capable, and she is ready. To find your voice, you first have to embrace the fact that your voice has been there all along. You just have to give yourself permission to let it out. That means releasing the grip of perfectionism that says you have to sound a certain way or act a certain way to be worthy of being heard. It means letting go of the idea that your voice only matters when it's loud, bold, or dramatic. No, your voice matters because it is yours. It matters because it represents the truth of who you are. It matters because it is the embodiment of your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, and your wisdom. And the world needs that. The world needs your voice. One of the biggest barriers to finding our voice is fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, fear of failure. But let me tell you this, fear is not a sign that you should stay quiet. Fear is the invitation to rise. Fear is a compass that points you toward the places you need to go. When you feel the fear of speaking up or stepping into your truth, it's a sign that you are on the edge of growth. You are on the edge of reclaiming the strength that has been there all along. And when you take the leap, when you push through that fear, you will discover just how strong you really are. But here's the hard truth. It's not always easy. There will be moments when you doubt yourself. There will be moments when the voices of fear, judgment, and self-doubt try to pull you back into silence. But that's where your strength lies, right on the other side of that fear. Reclaiming your voice isn't about having the perfect words or knowing exactly what to say at all times. It's about having the courage to speak your truth even when it's messy. It's about trusting that you are enough, just as you are, even when the world tells you otherwise. It's about learning to stand in your truth without apology. Your truth is your power, and when you allow yourself to speak it, you not only reclaim your own strength, but you also create space for others to do the same. You become a beacon of authenticity. You become someone who shows others that it is safe to take up space, to speak their truth, and to stand in their own power. Reclaiming your voice also means that you start to respect your own boundaries. When you speak up for yourself, you are honoring your needs, your emotions, and your worth. You are telling the world, I matter. My needs matter. I deserve to be heard. This isn't just about setting boundaries in your relationships with others. It's about setting boundaries with yourself. It's about saying no to the things that drain you and saying yes to the things that nurture you. It's about saying no to the voices in your head that tell you you're not enough and saying yes to the truth of who you are. You are worthy of taking up space. Your voice is meant to be heard, and you do not need anyone's permission to speak your truth. When you reclaim your voice, you reclaim your power. You stop hiding. You stop shrinking. You stop pretending to be something you're not. And you start living authentically. You start showing up as the woman you were always meant to be. And I want to remind you of something really important. Finding your voice is not about perfection. It's not about speaking flawlessly or having all the right answers. It's about honesty. It's about vulnerability. It's about letting the world see who you really are with all of your imperfections and your humanity. Because that is what makes you real. That is what makes you relatable. That is what makes you powerful. Finding your voice isn't a one-time event. It's a practice. It's something you will need to do over and over again. You will continue to find new layers of your voice as you grow, as you heal, and as you evolve. And as you do, you will reclaim more of your strength. Every time you speak up, you will feel more grounded in who you are. And with each step you take toward owning your voice, you will step into more of the woman you were meant to be. So today, I challenge you, give yourself permission to speak your truth. Let your voice be heard. Reclaim your strength, your power, and your authenticity, because the world needs you just as you are. And when you speak up, you create space for others to do the same. You show them that it's okay to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, and to stand in your truth. Your voice matters. And when you find it, you will discover a strength you never knew you had. Set boundaries and honor your own needs. Ladies, I want to start with a simple but powerful truth. You are allowed to have needs. Your needs matter. Your emotional, physical, and mental well-being are not secondary to anyone else's. And yet, so often we are taught to suppress our needs, to put others first, to give and give without question, all in the name of love, duty, or fear of rejection. But here's what I want to remind you of today. Honoring your own needs is not selfish. It is an act of self-respect, and it is essential for your well-being. For so many of us, setting boundaries feels uncomfortable. It feels like we're being unreasonable or difficult, or like we're asking for too much. We've been conditioned to believe that putting ourselves first is a form of betrayal or neglect. But the truth is, if we do not honor our own needs, we will burn out, we will lose ourselves, and we will become resentful of those we love, and ultimately will fail to show up as the best version of ourselves in our relationships and our lives. Setting boundaries is not just about saying no to others, though that's a big part of it. It's about saying yes to yourself. It's about acknowledging that your needs are just as important as anyone else's. It's about stepping into your own power and recognizing that you are worthy of respect, kindness, and care, starting with the care you give yourself. But I know it's hard. I know how hard it can be to set boundaries, especially when we fear the reactions of others. We worry that we'll be labeled as too much, too demanding, or even too selfish. But let me tell you this, if you are constantly giving, constantly sacrificing, and constantly putting everyone else's needs ahead of your own, you are not helping anyone. You are depleting yourself, and eventually you will have nothing left to give. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And if you are giving without boundaries, you are emptying yourself out piece by piece. I want to emphasize that setting boundaries is a form of self-love. It is not about pushing people away. It's about protecting your energy, your mental health, and your emotional peace. When you don't set boundaries, you allow others to dictate the terms of your life. You let their needs and demands override your own. And in doing so, you give up your own sense of agency, your autonomy, your voice. Here's the thing, boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are not meant to isolate you or shut others out. They are meant to protect you, to honor who you are and what you need. Boundaries are about teaching others how to treat you, how to respect you, and how to honor your space. When we set clear and healthy boundaries, we create a safe space for ourselves to thrive. And when we honor our own needs, we give ourselves permission to grow, to heal, and to be our authentic selves. The first step in setting boundaries is identifying what your needs are. So often we get caught up in what everyone else needs, our family, our friends, our partners, and we forget to ask ourselves, what do I need? Take a moment to reflect on your own life. What do you need to feel nurtured, to feel safe, to feel at peace? Do you need more rest, more time for yourself, more space to process your emotions? Do you need more respect, more communication, more honesty from the people around you? Your needs are valid. You don't need to justify them, apologize for them, or shrink them down to make others feel comfortable. Your needs are real and they deserve to be honored. Once you've identified your needs, the next step is to communicate them. Now, this is where many of us get tripped up. We feel guilty about expressing our needs. We fear that we'll be rejected, that we'll be seen as demanding or needy. But here's the truth, your needs are not a burden, they are a fundamental part of who you are. You are worthy of having those needs met, and you are worthy of asking for what you need.